welcome to this India Today special, the demonetization cash chaos classroom. Ever since the Prime Minister about a fortnight ago announced that 500 and 1,000 rupee notes were being withdrawn from the market, it has led to some element of chaos, panic, and indeed, so we've decided after 17 days that time has come to forget the heat and shed some light on this issue. What does demonetization really mean for you, me, and this audience here of young Indians? Joining me is a very special guest, the Minister in the Narendra Modi government, Jayant Sinha, someone who's been a banker himself, so knows a thing or two about banking and investments. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Sinha. I'm going to take questions from the audience. You, the viewer, can send us questions on our India Today Twitter hashtag. Just ask us, Cash Chaos hashtag, and put in your questions and we'll put them out here. But my first question, sir, is from someone called Karva-An. He says, and it's a question that everyone is asking, why have you, i.e. the government, put restrictions on withdrawal of money? Who are they to control our money? Who are you to tell me that I can only spend 2,50,000 on my wedding? I'm not getting married. But if I was getting married, why should I only spend 2,50,000? You have put unfair restrictions on withdrawal of money. Why?
On November 8th, the Honorable Prime Minister declared the demonetization. And on midnight, the 500 and the 1,000 rupee notes that we have known for so long ceased to become legal tender. It's a historic and transformational move. And we then began a process which I and many others are appropriately not calling demonetization, but we are calling remonetization, Rajdeep, remonetization. And the remonetization really means that once these 500 and 1,000 rupee notes cease to be legal tender, we have to reintroduce legal tender into our system. That transitional period is a period that's going to take some time. And during this period, we need to ensure that everybody gets at least an adequate supply of currency. Now, when we have imposed restrictions in terms of people withdrawing currency, it is simply because we believe, and I think all of us will agree, that everybody should get a certain amount of currency so that they can re-establish and restart normal life. So, yes, as soon as the currency is built up in the system again, as soon as the notes are back in circulation, everybody can withdraw what belongs rightfully to them and they are free to use it. I will add just one more point, which is because we are re-establishing the currency in circulation, we're going through the remonetization process. Using notes right now is a little bit more difficult because the notes have to be put back. However, there is no restriction on the usage of digital currency. Most people are adept now at using digital currency. They can use it as they feel like.
So you are sounding like an advertisement for Paytm. When you say you can use digital currency, my question, you said as soon as you have new currency into the market, everything will be well. Please tell me how many days that's going to take.
We all have to understand that this is a major logistical exercise and it has to be done in a balanced and purposeful way. As you all know, there were basically between 14 to 15 lakh crores of 500 and 1,000 rupee notes in circulation that have ceased to be legal tender. So we have to reintroduce a large amount of money back in the system. Now, the currency notes have been printed. There are sufficient currency notes, 2,000 rupee notes primarily, that have been printed and that are enough to bring us back to normalcy. However, we have to do two things, and this is why it becomes logistically so complicated. Number one, we have to distribute them across the country through about 600,000, 6 lakh cash distribution points. And just the logistics of running armored vans, getting them to ATMs, recalibrating ATMs, just the logistics of that is very difficult and that takes time. One. Two, we cannot be in a situation that all the money is just in one part of the country. The money has to be appropriately balanced across the country, whether it's rural areas, urban areas, whether it's the north, the south, the east or the west. So the balancing out and at the same time the distribution of this cash is a difficult logistical exercise, which is why we can't do it overnight. It's
Mr.
going to take
Sinha,
time.
you're not giving me a period. The Prime Minister said 50 days. Can I be assured, can everybody who's watching this program, the people in the audience be assured that on January 1st, I will be able to withdraw as much cash as I want?
The Honorable Prime Minister has made a commitment, and we are working absolutely to the fullest extent and to our total energy, and with all of the intelligence and all of the technology at our disposal to be able to achieve that goal.
The reason I am being skeptical is that since November 8 to today, you have made 25 amendments. Every time, every day, there is a new amendment. First you said I can exchange 4,000 rupees, then you said 4,500, then you brought it to 2,000. Now you are saying not at all, you can't exchange any old notes. What is going on? One day you say that you can have the deadline is 24th November, now you have extended it to December 15th. People are raising questions because it appears, and this is the principal opposition charge, there is a lack of planning. You did this without planning. That is the reality.
Anybody who thinks that such a vast and complicated exercise like this can be planned ahead of time and that you can think through every contingency doesn't understand planning or how systems work. I think that is an ill-founded criticism. The reality is, and we all know it, Indians are very good at jugaad. So everybody is always finding out some way of getting around whatever policies and restrictions we have. And so if the other side is doing jugaad, well, we have to evolve and be dynamic and responsive to the system as well. I can tell you, as somebody who's been in business for a very long time and has done a lot of work in policy making, you have to understand what is happening out in the real world. You have to adapt to it, you have to adjust to it, and I dare say that we are doing that in a very thoughtful and calibrated manner, and we are rapidly bringing down
the
discomfort that people
January
are facing.
1, can I say 2017, January 1, I can go to the bank and take out as much money, my own hard-earned money. Nowhere else in the world, as Dr. Manmohan Singh said, is there a restriction on withdrawing money that is owed, that is my money. Why can I not withdraw my own money? I want to celebrate my son's wedding. I want to do it dhoom dham ki shadi. Who are you to tell me that I can only do it in 2,50,000?
You can take out as much digital currency as you want even today. So I'm sure, Rajdeep, the kinds of providers you go to would be happy to take your check and would have no problem taking your credit as well. So,
sir, I went to rural India. You come from a rural constituency. People say check se abhi tak nahi chalega. They want cash. Right or wrong? The people are telling you, the audiences are saying there are many people who are not willing to take it on credit cards.
Of course,
they want cash.
And there we have said by January 1, whoever wants cash will be able to receive cash. But Rajdeep, the world is changing. Even in Hazaribagh, the world is changing. Even in Hazaribagh, many merchants now are willing to use a debit card for payment, particularly in the cities, particularly in the block towns. Debit cards are in use, and all of the digital wallet, mobile wallet services that are being rolled out rapidly are making a huge difference. अरे भाई, आज के समय पकौड़े वाले, गुलगप्पे वाले भी mobile wallet का प्रयोग करते हैं.
Okay, there you have it. Another, you are being a brand ambassador in a sense for mobile wallets. But let me get a question. Is there anyone in the audience who has a question, who wants to ask the minister a question? Anyone who has a problem? Yes, the lady there. What is your question? Take the mic, please. What is your question, ma'am?
So last day, Dr. Manmohan Singh said that there would be a probable fall in our GDP rate by 2%. What steps are being taken by the government to curb it?
But before you respond to that, let me just play what Dr. Manmohan Singh said and Narendra Modi ji's response to it today. Listen in to this face-off that we have between the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister, taking up from your question. Listen to it.
Will hurt all those people who are in the informal.
Two different views, but taking off from that lady, because this is what Dr. Singh feared, 2% loss in GDP. Well, is there a fear of loss of jobs and a fear of decline in GDP?
Let me clarify that. Dr. Manmohan Singh, of course, is a renowned economist, but I think he misspoke. Because as you heard clearly, he said that GDP will decline by 2%. He's not right, of course. What most economists are saying is that GDP growth rate may decline by 2% for maybe 1 quarter. So it's not as if there's a GDP decline of 2%. GDP growth rate, which has been at 7.5%, 8%, may decline down to 5.5% for 1 quarter. And then once the cash is back in circulation, which certainly by January 1 it will be, we will resume where we were. And I believe that in fact our growth rate will be even higher thereafter. And
Will you lower interest rates with the money that you earn? Do you believe banks will lower interest rates, for example, when you say that the economy will pick up post January 1?
Dr. Manmohan Singh knows better than anyone else, Rajdeep, that when you undertake bold structural reform, which is what was done in 1991, the economy is put on a much faster growth trajectory. We grew much faster in the 1990s than we did in the 1980s. So structural reform like the one that we've undertaken, which is very bold, very historic, is positioning the economy for much faster growth going forward. And all of us know the power of compounding is such that maybe there is a blip for one quarter, but if thereafter, for years and years, for decades thereafter, we grow faster, then the compounding effect and the absolute magnitude of that faster growth is way more than one blip in one quarter.
Okay, let me then come to the next question. We're getting a lot of Twitter questions for you. It's from the SNFD. They're saying, why are banks and ATMs mainly or only, he says, dispensing rupees 2,000 notes? Why is the RBI and PMO India not infusing more 100 and 500 rupee notes into the system? We are going to different parts of the country where people are saying we are getting 2,000 rupee notes, and then when we go to buy something, people say chutte nahi hai. Is that right or not?
No, you're absolutely right, Rajdeep. That is in fact a fact. And the situation is such that while we have printed a lot more 100 rupee notes, there's a lot more 100 rupee notes that have been put in circulation. Really the gap in the market right now is the 500 rupee notes. That's where the real gap is. There's plenty of 2,000 rupee notes that are being dispensed right now. But छुट्टे के लिए बन जाने के लिए 500 रुपए नोट की भी जरूरत पड़ती है. Those are not there. And that is because we had to make some trade-offs when we started to think about what currency to print. If we had printed 500 rupee notes as new rupee notes, it would have taken much longer to bring that money back in circulation. So we had to print the 2,000 rupee notes so that we could quickly remonetize the economy. Now we are printing lots and lots of the 500 rupee notes, and together by January 1st, 2017, the balance will once again have been established and everybody will have no trouble at all in whatever cash transactions they're doing.
Can I just show you what was happening when I traveled to the Prime Minister's constituency of Varanasi, and you can maybe respond to what you're hearing from people. These are the genuine concerns that people on the ground in rural areas and semi-rural areas also are suffering. Listen in to the kind of views we've been getting from people, their concerns.
सुविधा सब बिगड़ गया है।
बिगड़ गया है?
हाँ, आधा से ज्यादा बिगड़।
जैसे क्या बिगड़ा है?
रोड एकदम खत्म है। रोड है ही नहीं गांव में। ऐसा बार बार करे खत्म हो यार, अभी निकलने आए थे हम 10,000 रुपया, करे पैसा नहीं है।
10,000 रुपए क्यों चाहिए अभी?
अरे तो जरूरत है ना सर, मकान में हाथ लगा हुआ, मिस्त्रियों को पैसा चाहिए।
तो क्या कह रहे, बैंक में पैसा नहीं है?
पैसा नहीं, तो
फटा नोट दे दिया तुमको। अभी तो 1:30 बजा है, बैंक कह रहा है पैसा बंद हो गया। 1:30 बजे नहीं। प्रधानमंत्री कह रहे हैं 30 दिसंबर तक थोड़ी दिक्कत होगी, उसके बाद सब ठीक होगा।
जरूरत हमको कॉल है, 30 दिसंबर तक क्या करेंगे?
अगर ये प्रॉब्लम दिसंबर 30 तक सुलझाई नहीं गई तो क्या आप वोट प्रधानमंत्री और बीजेपी को दोगे या नहीं? तो विचार करेंगे। अगर प्रॉब्लम सुलझाई गई तो देंगे। वो कह रहे 1 घंटे बाद रुकिए।
1 घंटे नहीं, वो 11 बजे आते, बोले 1:30 बजे, 1:30 बजे अभी तक कुछ ही नहीं हो रहा।
So many of those people were Prime Minister's model village that he has adopted of Jaipur near Varanasi. The fear they have in many of the banks, the ATM was not working in rural areas. The fact is that cash is running out in rural areas. The point you made, that it's not enough to just replenish new currency, but it has to reach distant remote parts of a subcontinental size country. So how does that person wait till December 30th? He needs to build a house today. He needs 10,000 rupees today for his house. He can't wait till December 30th.
No, those are all very legitimate challenges, Rajdeep. You're exactly right that it does take time from a logistical point of view to get currency everywhere. That is what we're going through right now. But Honorable Prime Minister was absolutely crystal clear on November 8th when he spoke to us at 8 p.m. He said, we will face a number of challenges and difficulties. And the reality is that despite the difficulties we are facing right now, the challenges that we have, everybody by and large is supportive of this move, because the economy that will emerge, the new normal that will emerge after this, is going to be far superior. Now, by January 1st, in the next 50 days, January 1st, 2017, all these issues by and large will be put to rest. There will be some challenges for people. I would ask them to use digital currency where they can, use checks where they can, to find suppliers who are willing to accept their checks and so on, so that if you have a house to build, you can get around it. But I think in the long run, and that's really the important part, and I think this is the part that the people of India have accepted. They have accepted that the short-term difficulties all of us are facing right now are more than worth it because of the long-term benefit that we're going to get from this.
Let me get in more questions from the audience. The gentleman here, someone had put up his hand. Yes, take the mic. Give him the mic. Yes, please. Take the mic. What is your question?
Yeah, my question is that actually in India, 80% of the money are in hand of 20% of people. And the law the government is framing, why they are not targeting that 20%? Why the general people are targeted for that particular moment?
You know, I think and linked to that is a Twitter question, sir, that has come on this entire issue of black money. The government, in a sense, is creating an impression that those really with black money will get away. What guarantee can you give us that the big fish will be caught is being asked by Pradeep. Pradeep is asking me, what is the guarantee you will give me that the real big fish will be caught? They will put their money in real estate, in gold, in jewelry, or they've taken it to Swiss banks. But what about the people here, sir?
Well, the big fish are being caught. We have already over the last couple of years been able to generate a significant amount of taxes from people who previously were not paying taxes. You know that from the income disclosure scheme already about 55,000 crores of unaccounted income was disclosed. So we have been consistently, whether it's through surveys, whether it's through finding people or disclosure schemes, we have been finding these major amounts of black money and compelling those people to pay their appropriate taxes. Even in the last few days, you've heard about many seizures. In fact, you know, there was a plane that was flying a lot of cash around. That also has been intercepted. So all those people that have been trying to move cash around are being intercepted right now. Tremendous digital trails are being built as people are trying to recycle the cash right now. We will, of course, very strictly enforce all of the tax laws and all the laws of the land with respect to those people. And as Honorable Prime Minister has said multiple times, please rest assured that anybody who's breaking the law of the land, anybody who's not paying their taxes, is going to be brought to justice, and they will pay their taxes so we can give the people of India the resources and services that they
It's interesting you're saying that, because Rajni Anant 3 is asking, ask all MPs to give in writing that they have no black money before they enter the parliament. You know, let's be clear, the real issue is election funding. You haven't tackled the real issue of election funding, and you've gone and penalized the honest taxpayer. You're preventing me from withdrawing the deposits through my hard-earned money. Why are you penalizing the honest taxpayer when the real people are the people who earn their money, through election funding? That's where the black money is.
Everybody who has black money, everybody who's not paying their taxes right now, as the Honorable Prime Minister said, is not sleeping at night. Because they have seen through the actions that we have undertaken, from the SIT, the Foreign Black Money Act, the Income Disclosure Scheme, the Benami Transactions Act, from the demonetization, that we are going after all those people that are hoarding black money or are using black money. It doesn't matter who they are, whether they are politicians, business people, whoever they are. If indeed you have black money, you will be found and brought to justice. And by the way, every candidate for public office in this country, Rajdeep, as you know well, has to file all of their assets, as I did myself, and any citizen can go take a look at those assets, and if they believe that so-and-so has black money or is in trafficking in black money or has unaccounted for income, please provide that information with credible data and facts, and we will pursue those.
Mr. Sinha, you know for a fact that most of your colleagues who you sit with in parliament have used cash to come into parliament. They have spent way above their limits. Let's be honest. ये public है, ये सब जानती है sir. अंदर क्या है, बाहर क्या है, सब पहचानती है. That is the truth. Why not accept that you should have first tackled election funding, first brought in stronger rules there, and then gone into demonetization? It should have been the last step, and certainly not for the 500 rupee note.
No,
I am told Raghuram Rajan objected to the 500 rupee note because 500 rupees is what people transact on a daily basis. You are treating every bit of cash in some way as black. It's not.
No, Rajdeep, I reject that. The fact of the matter is that when you undertake very historic and transformational steps like this, you have to build a national consensus. As Honorable Prime Minister has said, you have voted us in to attack corruption, to attack black money, to attack this kind of tax evasion. You have voted us in to do that. That was the national consensus. And on the basis of that, we have undertaken a series of unprecedented steps to attack corruption and black money. The national consensus was very clear in that regard. Now, with respect to election financing, we also have to establish a similar national consensus where not just us, but all the other political parties, Honorable Prime Minister has already said that, we should evolve a national consensus. We should as a country decide what we want to do as far as election financing is concerned. And when we have that national consensus, which by the way, we did not have for the Land Acquisition Act in the modifications we were doing. And so because this has to pass the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, because of the numbers in the Rajya Sabha, we have to have an appropriate national consensus so that we can make sure that we tackle the question of election financing as well, which is exactly what the Honorable Prime Minister has said.
Let me get another question. Yes, you wanted to ask a question. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Like the critics are saying that this masterstroke that was done by our beloved Prime Minister was actually done to bolster his image because he was not able to deliver the GDP growth and bring back the black money. What is your view about it, and what is the answer that you would like to give to the critics?
We have brought back the black money. We have delivered on the GDP growth. We have done profound and historic things as far as
you haven't given, sorry, you haven't given, you say you brought back black money, you haven't given 15 lakh in everyone's account as you promised. You promised everyone 15 lakhs will go into the account, nothing has come.
If you look at the services that we are delivering to people, whether it is to the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Jan Dhan Yojana, Ujjwala Yojana, all the different things that we are providing to every family, that number, if we have provided services, we have provided benefits to every citizen in this country that are dramatic and unprecedented and are very, very substantial and meaningful. So we have done all of that with respect to providing benefits and services to citizens. And that the fact that we have taken this historic step, you have to remember that not only are we going to be able to take the black money out of the system, we are at the same time going to increase tax compliance. Hopefully we will be able to extinguish some major currency liabilities because the money doesn't come back, and we are going to create a new economy, a new normal that will be a far more robust foundation for future growth.
A question being put by someone called Sensible 56 is, government told Supreme Court there is enough currency, then why still the restrictions on withdrawal? This is what the government told the Supreme Court. Yeah. Why are there still restrictions on withdrawal if you have enough currency?
I will explain once again what I had said earlier. Enough notes have been printed, but we need to get the notes spread out across the whole country, where, as I said, there's over 600,000 cash distribution points. That cash has to reach there, and it has to reach there in a balanced way. We can't just have 50 rupees in one place and 50 crores another place. Depending on what the cash requirement is in that location, that sufficient amount of cash should be there. And because we have to do it, through several rounds of pumping cash into the system, we are going to go through these phases where there will be some restrictions.
Okay, Mohammed is asking, the money that you will earn, the deposits that are coming into the banks, will that be used through populist measures of putting in people's Jan Dhan Yojana money? Or will it actually be used for infrastructure projects? What will the money that is being now got into banks, the deposits that are being put into banks, what will it be used for?
All economists, all rating agencies, all objective observers of our government's economic policies have said very, very clearly that our policies are not populist. They're popular but not populist. They're policies that are really focused on India's long-term future, like the one that we've taken on demonetization. So you can be assured, and we've demonstrated that through the two budgets that we've done recently, that we will invest this money to really ensure that India's citizens, India's economic growth really takes off.
Let me get in one more question. Yes, gentleman here, just take the mic. Yes.
Sir, my question is, like you said, we will tackle the black money. Like, how demonetization can tackle the black money? Like, black money holder only have around 6 to 10% of the black money as in the form of cash, and rest as in gold and property. So how can demonetization?
No, that's a very good question. Let me give you the answer. First, of course, the 6 to 10% of cash that they had has now been destroyed. So in that sense, the black money that they have accumulated, the currency hoard that they've accumulated has been destroyed. Number one. Number two, much more importantly, any of their suspicious transactions now will show up in our banking system, in our financial system, and that will give us the clues to be able to go after them as well. So that also is going to make a very big difference. We will get the information as to who has how much money, where they have the money, and then we can go after them.
You will create a new tax inspector, Raj, in this country.
We will have the digital...
You are going to create a new tax. The only person who will... My fear is the person who will benefit from something like this is the taxman.
I can absolutely assure you, Rajdeep, that if there's any tax inspector or anybody else in the tax department that is harassing you or persecuting you, please let us know. We will take action on that. However, once we have the digital trails, we can come after those people. Number one. Number two, please understand, we are changing the psychology in the country. Because so far people felt that they could do this kind of stuff, benami, tax chori, corruption, all those things they could do and they could get away with it. Now they realize that we have a government, we have a leader who is determined to make sure that all their wrong activities will be brought to justice. That change in psychology itself is a huge, huge and profound difference from what existed earlier.
Even a person who's close to the BJP, if someone who's close to the BJP tomorrow is found guilty of tax evasion, this government will act and put them in jail? Are you giving me this assurance? Are you giving this audience that assurance?
No. The laws of the land apply equally to everyone, Rajdeep.
So it has not applied over 70 years. Over 70 years, people have got away. The choti machli get caught, the badi machli have got away in this country. That is the truth, right? Yes, this is what Young India believes. Young India believes that badi machli have got away.
Then thank you for voting us in May 2014, because as you are already seeing through the actions we have taken, and then of course in a very clear and unambiguous way through the demonetization, this government doesn't work that way.
This government. Let me take one more question before I take a break. Yes, the man, I'll get your question later. Yes, go ahead.
Sir, again you are talking about the digital money. But before taking the steps like demonetization, you have taken the steps about the making rural India into digital India. Then you should have taken the steps like talking about digital money. So is that, then it would have been more planned.
First you should have spread the message of digital India, then done demonetization.
Then you have more planned.
Let me tell you, there is a joke, Rajdeep, which says there's never a good time to die or pay taxes. There's never a good time to die or pay taxes. So whenever we did this, there will always be complaints it's not a good time because you now have to pay your taxes. So remember, if people are not used to digital transactions, digital currency right now, what we have done is a real wake-up call. It's a real opportunity for you to learn how to do that. Remember 15 years ago, did anyone use a mobile phone? Nobody used a mobile phone 15 years ago. Now you can go to the most rural areas of India, like I do, and everybody is using a mobile phone. But that has happened, and so in the same way, we are going to find that everybody is going to use digital.
So the daily wage laborer,
he's using a mobile phone today.
No, he may be using a mobile phone. He's not using plastic currency at the moment.
He doesn't.
Mr. Arun Jaitley is claiming there are 80 crore plastic debit cards today. The fact is, wherever you go, wherever I've gone this time in rural parts of the country, they still haven't come to the extent that you are claiming. An ATM is not available in certain areas. 40-50 kilometers you can't go to reach an ATM. Most villages still don't have the kind of banking that you are talking about. Should that have been done first and then demonetization?
That's what I'm saying. There's never a good time because there will always be some issues and challenges. This is a great time to leapfrog all the ATMs, all of the currency that's in circulation right now. Let's go directly to digital currency, because the economy that we build, that is operating of digital currency, friends, that economy is the economy we need for the 21st century. That is the economy we need for your future. That is the economy that will ensure that there's no corruption, there's no black money, that people pay their taxes fairly.
So the informal sector at the moment, as of now, 80% of India informal sector, the supply links are based on cash transactions. You are telling them overnight to change it.
No, Rajdeep.
You did not prepare them for it.
That's not correct. Of course, we have prepared them. Everybody has a RuPay debit card through a Jan Dhan account firstly. So everybody understands, and I have traveled very much in the rural areas. Everybody understands the concept of a bank account. Everybody virtually understands the concept of using a card to withdraw money. Everybody does. So it's not that
bank account, yes.
It's not that people don't understand. But who is saying that we are going to a cash-free economy? Of course we will have cash. Come January 1, 2017, all we need will be back in circulation. People can use it. But this transition it's a great teaching moment for India to use digital. We must move to digital. That is the future. We have to be competitive. Around the world, Rajdeep, the cash to GDP ratio is 6-7%. It's as low as 3-4-5% in some countries. In our country, it was 10-11%. We have an inefficient economy if you're using that much cash because we don't pay enough taxes and cash creates a lot of friction in our economy. Here is an don't think about it negatively, folks. Think about it as positively. Here is an opportunity to leapfrog. Here is an opportunity to become more efficient and more competitive. Let's embrace that in a positive, optimistic way as opposed to constantly cavilling and looking at it from a critical perspective. Think of it as a positive opportunity.
Okay, you're saying the glass is half full. As journalists, we keep saying the glass is half empty.
Actually,
that's our job as journalists.
Rajdeep, neither you and I will decide. The people of India will decide.
Okay, we'll come to that.
Is it half empty or half full?
Okay, let me take a break. Some more questions. You can come to our Twitter account, give us more questions. We'll take in more audience questions. The minister is answering all your questions, live studio audience as well as your Twitter questions that we are getting. And also, Mr. Sinha, the questions that have been given by people who've been standing outside the queues for the last few days. Listen in to some more questions, this time from a more urban audience. Dhanda kaise chal raha hai?
Down है इस टाइम क्योंकि लोगों के पास कैश ही नहीं है न्यू करेंसी.
हाँ, खाली है. क्यों? करेंसी का प्रॉब्लम है.
एटीएम्स पे इतनी भीड़ है, भी एटीएम से प्रॉपर स्टार्ट भी नहीं हुए और जो हुए भी उन पे इतनी भीड़ है.
आप क्या चाहते हैं? मोदी जी को क्या कहेंगे? अगर फ्यूचर में ठीक होना है तो क्या चाहेंगे? जो बड़े लोग हैं, असली जो ब्लैक मनी बनाते हैं, उनको जेल में डालना है, क्या करना चाहिए?
उनके लिए तो ठीक है, उनके लिए कुछ स्ट्रिक्टनेस जरूर होनी चाहिए. बाकी स्टिल इस टाइम तो फिलहाल हम सब फंसे हुए हैं दुकानदार बड़ी बुरी तरह. हमारा बिजनेस टोटल फ्लॉप हो चुका है.
तो क्या दिक्कत है?
व्यापारियों के लिए थोड़ा सा इसकी लिमिट बढ़ानी चाहिए.
व्यापारियों की लिमिट बढ़ानी चाहिए.
बुनकरों को हमेशा उनको पेमेंट देना होता है.
तो आप चेक से दीजिए.
अब देंगे भाई, करना ही पड़ेगा. लेकिन जो छोटे बुनकर हैं, उनको 1500 किसी को चाहिए, 200 चाहिए, तो चेक से कितना देंगे?
50 दिन क्या होगा भैया? शादी तो ही समय आज करना है, तो 50 दिन का हम इंतजार करेंगे क्या?
आप बैंक नहीं जा सकते?
बैंक से 2000 रुपए तो मिल रहा है.
One of the concerns, and I can tell you from that, is that people are saying they are going to the banks and the banks are throwing up their hands and saying we don't have cash. People are going with wedding cards and the banks are saying तहसीलदार के पास जाके affidavit लाइए कि आपकी शादी हो रही है या नहीं. Because people are faking sometimes their wedding apparently to increase the limits. There is a lot of bank bureaucracy that is taking place. And I want to put one question here. In the context of that bank bureaucracy, Geeta Gisons is saying, media is showing how bank officials are minting money for exchange of notes. How will you address that? Have you created a big bureaucracy which is making it very difficult for the Aam Aadmi who stands in a queue to actually get what he or she needs?
Rajiv, first of all, we must thank all of the selfless employees in all these different banks that have been working night and day to ensure that we have currency. So I think they really do deserve a round of applause for all the hard work that they have put in. That said, even though across the system people are working hard, they're working with a lot of honesty and integrity, there will of course in a big country like ours be incidents and events where people are doing the wrong thing, and by no means should we accept that. If anyone has any examples, factual examples where this is going on, please let us know either through social media or through writing an email, and there are all kinds of different ways in which you can do that. mygov.in is a very good way of doing it. CPgrams is another good way of doing it. Please send us your complaints and your challenges and issues. I promise you that we will be very responsive towards all of that, because we want to ensure the system works for you, because it is for you. So there will be these incidents. I apologize, and I'm really sorry if people have had to suffer because
there is a last mile problem. You're saying a lot of things in Delhi which you may mean well, but on the ground, sir, on the ground, the problem is translating that when the person meets the bank official. That relationship is the difficult one.
Yeah, Rajdeep, but I think, I think some of your questions are going over the same issue. I have already said up front, and the Honorable Prime Minister said on November 8th, that there are going to be logistical challenges. People are going to face difficulties. You can't take 14-15 lakh crores of notes out of circulation and overnight bring new notes back in a big country like ours. It's going to take time. That's why Honorable Prime Minister has said, give me 50 days before we can restore normalcy. And that's really what we are doing right now. In the meanwhile, of course, everybody is going to face difficulties. We recognize that.
In the meanwhile, there could be job losses. In the meanwhile, companies could cut down on production. Am I fear-mongering when I say
yes,
this?
You are absolutely fear-mongering. I do know a little bit about business and the economy. Let me assure you that all that has happened in these 2 or 3 weeks of disruption is that people have deferred certain activities or done certain activities on credit. There will be a few industries for sure, like real estate, jewelry and others, where there is a lot of cash usage, which will be structurally impacted because you cannot recycle black money, and maybe that's not such a bad thing. But for most economies, they will roar back as soon as the cash comes back in circulation and people start using digital payments. So there will be a little bit of a blip as we go through this over this quarter, but all economists of repute are saying that there's going to be a small blip this quarter, but that growth will resume from the next quarter onwards. And because we will have established, as the Honorable Finance Minister has said, a new normal, a far superior new normal, the faster growth that we will have will more than offset the little blip that we've had right now.
Okay, most economists are divided on that issue, but we'll leave it at that. Let me get another question. Yes, the gentleman here. What's your question?
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question is, our government has shown the prudentiality to apprehend corruption, counterfeited notes, black money. So my question is, sir, why demonetization? India has a lot of laws. Why don't you strengthen the modus operandi of pre-existing laws to apprehend these type of issues? Why only demonetization?
No, that's a good question.
And counterfeit currency, correct me if I'm wrong, is only 0.02% of the total black money. For that 0.02%, you have penalized all of us and put us through this pain for the next 3 months.
No, I think that's the wrong way to set that up, Rajdeep. The reality is that there is not a lot of economic damage because things will come back very quickly as we bring the currency in, as people transition to digital means. But please understand the two very important non-economic things that have happened. Two very important non-economic things. Please understand that. Number one, we have changed the psychology of this country. You can't get away by not paying your taxes. We've changed the mindset of people because we are going to come after you. Number one. Number two, we have demonstrated for a long time, India has been accused of having a weak state, of having inadequate state capacity. We have demonstrated through this action, we have a strong state. We have the state capacity to do bold transformational things that fills us with confidence for the future. That's the basis on which we unleash animal spirits. That's the basis on which we grow our economy. Around the world today, people are saying this government was bold, it was decisive, it was courageous, it took what it had to do and did it to make sure that we fundamentally change the way India works.
So around the world,
Rajdeep, let me say, let's just finish. Yes. Rajdeep, you yourself said in a very cynical way कि छोटी मछली पकड़ा जाती है, बड़ी मछली नहीं पकड़ाती है. इसके बाद ये जो सोच है, ये सोच बदल जाएगी.
Achha, very good, because around the world, I can tell you, demonetization has been done usually by dictatorial regimes which have been facing a serious currency crisis.
And it is our
and hyperinflation.
That is the conventional wisdom. And it takes a leader like the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to do something so out of the box to transform India, and he has done it.
Okay, let me then get the opposition one last time on the program and have a look at the face-off, because you are claiming, of course, the government's view. Listen in to what the opposition says.
I do want to point out is that in the process of demonetization, monumental mismanagement has been undertaken.
मैं समझता हूं कि मुद्दा ये नहीं है कि सरकार ने पूरी तैयारी नहीं की. ऐसे लोगों की पीड़ा इस बात की है कि सरकार ने किसी को तैयारी करने का समय नहीं दिया.
That's an interesting way that Mr. Modi has responded. But do you agree that there has been mismanagement? Yes, you needed to keep it secret. But the mismanagement, the reconfiguring of ATM cards, the manner in which the new 500 rupee note is not available at the moment. Was there a lack of planning? You did not know the scale of the task. Why not accept that today?
No, I reject that. And Dr. Manmohan Singh obviously had to say what he had to say because he's in the opposition. The reality is this process has been managed rather well. It is not a small task, as I'm repeating over and over again, to take 14-15 lakh crores worth of currency out of circulation and bring it back into circulation, remonetize the economy within 50 days. It's not an easy task because of the logistical challenges that we face.
Could you have retained the 500 rupee note? Could you have ensured at least that the size of the note was the same so that the reconfiguration of ATMs need not take, which has taken so much of time?
The recalibration is because of two reasons. One, because the 2000 rupee note is different, it's smaller in size, so the recalibration has to happen. And no matter what the note is, the software has to be reprogrammed because the images and the whole processing of it is fundamentally going to be different. The software has to be replaced. So there is just a certain amount of physical logistics you have to deal with. As I said, it's the ATMs, it's the armored vans that have to go out, it's the currency that has to be flown out. That is why on day one, the Honorable Prime Minister said that it's going to take us 50 days. And let me also say, we all know I'm a sportsman, you're a sportsman. No gain without some pain. So if you really want to be stronger and better, you got to get into the weight room, Rajdeep. I don't know if you're getting there. I'm not. I wish I was. But we have to lift some weights to get there. That's the hard work we're doing here.
You don't agree that it is little gain for a lot of pain?
I disagree with that completely.
You disagree? Okay, let me get one final question. Is there somebody else who has a question? Yes, the lady here. Just take the mic. Yes, ma'am.
Indian currency has gone down to 68.8 as compared to US dollar. Will demonetization result in further increase in money value as compared to US dollar?
None of us can predict where the rupee is going to go. If we could predict that, we wouldn't be sitting here. We'd be in a very different place, enjoying.
But you know this better than most. You've been an investment banker. I mean, are you really seriously worried? The world seems more worried about India than you are at the moment. Why is the world so worried if everything is so fine?
I don't think the world is worried. I think what everybody is talking about right now, and I'm speaking to lots and lots of economists and investors all the time, what everybody is concerned about right now is how much transitional damage are we going to have? How much of the blip is going to happen here? Everybody recognizes we're going to have a far better economy, a new normal that's going to be far superior. Everybody recognizes that. Everybody recognizes that we'll be able to collect more taxes. We may be able to extinguish certain liabilities depending on how much we get back, and that will also be a real boon for the government and so on. So everybody recognizes the long-term challenge. The only thing people want to understand is what's going to happen through this transition. What is the level of the amount of economic damage? Fine, we can go from 7.5% to 5.5%, but then growth will resume again. So the question really is, in this quarter, how much of a disruption are we going to have? That's all that people are thinking and talking about.
Can I ask you, is this the last step that the government will take? Will there be more steps? Will there be, for example, in the budget, tax reforms? Will there be other steps that the government intends to take? That this is not just a one-step, one-stop process. We expect more changes since you're talking of the new normal again and again. To get to that new normal, will we see lower tax rates, for example? I pay too much of income tax, I believe. I want to pay less. Will we see less income tax, for example?
Well, if you don't like paying your taxes, Rajdeep,
no, I like paying my taxes, but I believe
you should move to the UK or any European country.
No, but there is a general belief that that the real game changer will be to lower taxes.
Obviously, we are intent on transforming India. You've seen that through all our actions, all the steps we took before the demonetization. So we will relentlessly pursue all that we think can assist in transforming India, making it a better country for you, for your careers, for your children and your families. So for all those different steps, for all stakeholders, our goal is to continue to work on your behalf to make a better India.
You've spoken to us, you've responded to all the queries here as well as on Twitter, Mr. Sinha. I think it's great that someone has come without the usual tutu meme of having opposition versus government, because then we end up shedding more heat than light. Hopefully you've illuminated us with where the government stands on demonetization. We'll wait and see on January 1st whether the currency crisis is resolved or not. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big hand to the Union Minister Jayant Sinha. Thank you very much for joining us. And to you, the viewers, we will continue tracking this story here on India Today TV. So keep sending us all your queries. We will keep taking it to the men who need and the women who need to decide our future. Thanks very much for joining us. Goodbye.
Touch